Yeah, now you get to know about bitwise operators. Cool is that? All right. Binary bitwise operators. I need to share my screen. So what are numbers for computers? They're just a bunch of bits, right? Ones and zeros. I want to demonstrate that by running a quick script. So what this script does is we see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the numbers that are represented as binary. What are binary numbers? They're just a bunch of zeros and ones that are stored in computers. And that lets us do all the wonderful things in this world. Binary numbers also have a bunch of operations in them, just like normal numbers do. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, stuff like that with normal numbers, which are integers. But with binary numbers, we have logical operations because that's what binary numbers represent. It's either true or false. It's either on or off. And you can do a few operations with them. Like if you do a not operation with something that's on, it becomes an off. If you do a not operation with something that's on, it becomes off. There are also other operations like this operation called AND, which takes two binary numbers, and if both of them are on, it says, okay, I'm on. If one of them is off, it says, okay, everything's off. Similarly, the other operation called OR, it switches on when one part of it is on, and it gets to off if both of them are off. I just wanna wrote a basic script that does it. I'll be going into a lot of details. So this is how not works. You step, so one is on, and then you apply a not operator to it, and then it becomes off. Whatever is off, it becomes on. Now, one interesting thing is, I said all the numbers are represented as binary, and all these operators that are not or and, they operate on two binary digits. So what happens if we try to apply them to integers or numbers? We don't know how to do that, right? Because it only works with it turns whatever's 1 to 0, and it turns whatever's 0 to 1. So one way to think about that would be, since all the numbers are represented as binary, if you apply a not operator to a number, it will go to the binary representation, take out all the bits, and then apply it to individual bits. So this is what's happening here. A is 1, and then not A applies to all the individual bits of that number, and then it spits out another number. We can see similar things with AND. So what you're doing is, since they're both 0, it's just applying the AND operator to each of them individually, and then just converting it back to the representation in computers. Likewise, we have something for OR. And as I described, it spits out 1 if both of them are 1, or if only one of them is 1, and it spits out 0 if both of them are 0. So I know that it's getting a bit boring, like, yeah, it happens, so what? We code PHP, we do, we write on, we connect to databases, we build awesome websites. So we might be wondering, so what? Why am I talking about this? One thing is, since we are actually exploiting how the numbers are stored inside computer in the lowest level, we can, doing these kind of operations are kind of faster, and we can leverage that. For example, when you want to, so when I show you the numeric representation, you sort of see a pattern there. Like 0 has 0 at the end, 2 has 0 at the end, 4 has 0 at the end. And if you see it all, you start to notice that, okay, all the even numbers have 0 in the end. All the odd numbers have 1 in the end. So if you wanted to write a program that needed to know if a number is odd or even, sure, you could try dividing it with 2 until you get to the last point and see if it's 1 or 0, or you could just look at the last digit and then you'd be, oh yeah, that's even. And the way to do that would be you AND any number with 1. So 1 is basically, it has 1 at the end and 0 is at the on all parts. And since you're doing bitwise AND, you always end up with 1 or 0. And by comparing that, you can easily find out if a number is odd or even. To demo that, we have a small program. So you enter a number, any numbers from 7. Oh, 7 is not an even number. How cool is that? We've got one more. 13? Okay. People like odd numbers. Oh, 0 is an even number. Is it? -1 is an odd number. Is okay. All right. Yeah, that's enough. It's just a lightning talk. Again, I heard someone was mentioning what is odd number. So again, we really don't care about what's odd number. We want to build awesome websites. So what's the other use of this? What's the practical implementation of this? Another way to think about this is what this is these are 8 different cells that can have value 0s or 1s. So why not exploit that property? For that, I have a sample class for you. It's called pizza. So let's say we're creating an PHP app that cooks pizza, just like we had. And as we know, we can have multiple toppings on a pizza. We can have rocket for the healthy guys. We can have pineapple for all the pineapple lovers, bacon, jalapeno, mushrooms, stuff like that. So now what we can do is we can utilize that those are 8 different spaces and make them work as cells that can store all these different configurations. So what we're saying that is, if I want rocket on my pizza, my number would have 1 at the end. If I want pineapple, it would have 1 right next to the end, and so on and so forth. So what happens if you want all pizza? It would have 1 everywhere. What happens if you don't want any topping on the pizza? It would have null in every spaces. And then by making use of, like if you want to add topping, you just, I should really show the demo. So let's say you want a pizza with everything. You do, I want a pizza with all the toppings, and then you cook the pizza. But then you actually want to remove something, you can implement something like that, and then the implementation would look like this. So what you're really doing that is you're taking the current configuration, and then you're removing the particular topping that you like. Let's see this in action. Okay, this works. So yeah, we had a couple of toppings on the pizza, and then we removed some toppings, and then it got removed, and then we added some. Yeah, I think so. It is. It's also basically, well, things you could do if you know about, if you can exploit the internals. And if this looks non-realistic to you, then I have and another proposition. Because we've been using bitwise operators for a long time in PHP when we're doing error reportings. So when we're doing, so what this means is, yeah, we want to report error, and we also want to report warning, and we want to report parsing errors. So we'd use this. Just like the code in the remove topping, we want all the errors, but not notice. And that is how you use bitwise operators.